What's going on, everybody? And what's going on, folks? My name is David, and I'm your legendary host of this legendary podcast, the D-constructing Topic podcast. And what's going on, folks? You already know my podcast. What we do here is that we deconstruct topics, we grab it, talk about a little bit, just do our thing. And today we got a good one because today it is Super Bowl week for those fans out there and those in America living in the United States. If you already know what's the Super Bowl, if you don't know what's the Super Bowl, then if you live in the United States, if you're living outside the United States, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. But the Super Bowl in the United States, even if you don't watch it, we know what's the Super Bowl. Because it's all over the place. It's the game of the games of all the game for sports here. And it is a football game. It's a championship game between the last two teams of the NFL, the National Football Leagues. Ooh, you already know. When you hear this voice, automatically you hit the like button. So you always got to hit that like button everywhere you go. And you know what? Because you want to hear more of me, maybe tomorrow I'll be talking politics. Maybe tomorrow I'll be talking philosophy, history, freestyle, off the bat, off the cuff. That means that you'll be subscribing as well. And you already know when you do those things, you gather your friends, your family, everybody, don't matter where they live at, and feel free to share. Once again, it's your boy, David, the legendary host of the Constructed Topic podcast. Let's get it, and you could just catch me everywhere. When I say catch me everywhere, I'm just, it's at a football thing. 348, catch, touchdown, let's make it happen. But now I'm all over the place. I'm in YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. I'm here. Let's make it happen. Shout out to T-Goose TV. Let's make it happen as well. All the information is there. You already know I got a little donation thing going on as well. Feel free. And we talking football. 348. It is Super Bowl LX. In other words, Super Bowl 60. Do not ask the question. I don't even want to go there. Like, why do they use Roman numerals? It's sour. So a little, same thing. It's not the only sport. It's not the only place they use the Roman. West Romania does the same thing. For the most part, it is LX Super Bowl 60 between the New England Patriots, who are 14-3, or finished the record at 14-3, versus the Seattle Seahawks at 14-3. And again, I'm not gonna do it like a Seahawk, because there's no such thing as a Seahawk. Maybe if it was an eagle, you'd be like, ee. But because it's a bird, I don't even know. It's a Seahawk. It's a hawk that gets in the sea. And then Patriots, self-explanatory. The team is from New England area. Boston, all that, Massachusetts. You already know the whatever's going on, the Commonwealth or whatever. People already know that. Hey, listen, you're gonna have a tremendous game. Two teams out here. I'm not gonna even talk about the spread line because hey, listen. I'm not here to bet, even though I got monies here. I made a couple of, but here, Super Bowl, it's on February 8th, 2026. It is going to be in Santa Clara, California, a.k.a. San Francisco, where the 49ers play at. You already know Levi Stadium, home of the San Francisco 49ers, and home of I don't know, so many things over there. And, we got that. We need that good weather. And once again, it's Super Bowl 60. It is the 60th matchup of the Super Bowl. So once again, we're going to have a good one. So the Seattle, let's get on with the talk. Seattle, New England, two teams. I personally will not have them in here where we at now. Both teams, for some reason, even though they have met in the Super Bowl years ago when Patriots had Tom Brady and Seattle had Russell Wilson and Marshawn and those boys. And you already know the end of that game is one that they always talk about because the Seattle Seahawks, they had the ball at the 2nd-yard line with a couple of seconds. And instead of running the ball, give it to the beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, they decided to throw. And it's crazy because Seattle was at the Cubs. If I'm not mistaken, they already won a Super Bowl. They were at the Cubs to be perhaps the franchise and overthrown the Patriots, but the Patriots were the Patriots with Tom Brady and them boys. You already know. So it's going to be another matchup, but I don't think in top of my head, none of the players that was there playing now. That was years ago. When I say years ago, we're talking about pre-COVID. It's crazy how, we're talking about during the time of COVID and so on, the pandemic. It's like, when I say pre-COVID, it's like BCAD, all that good stuff. I mean, sometimes you got to be like that, because we live in different times. And that was a long time ago. So, you already know, we got the game. Once again, I'm not going to give who's the favorite, whatever it is. We're going to talk about it, because once again, these two teams, I don't know, once the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I'm going to be talking about the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, how can I say? I am going to say who I feel that's going to win, and I'm going to go on a limb. That's Seattle Seahawks. For some reason, that team is built a little bit different. They built good, and this is not the Legion of Doom. If those remember about, again, 10 years ago, maybe a little bit 8, whatever, that team with defense. This team is loaded. They have a little bit of everything, led by Coach Mike McDonald. Young coach out there doing their thing. And you already know, I had the receiver from the wide receiver from the Seattle Seahawks. To me, it's one of the hardest last name, Kimba. I had my boy there. He was on my lineup in terms of the fantasy football. That was my dude. Jackson Smith Njimba. I'm probably saying it, screwing the name. Well, he's a baller. Number 11, and they got Cooper Kupp, who they pick up, but they got a couple of other players. Jake Bobo, you know. But the interesting thing, because, that team is a little bit loaded. A couple of good linebackers there, Jivey Avey, Derek Hall, you already know. DeMarcus Lawrence that came from the Cowboys. This team is built a little bit different. They got like a little bit of everything, shout out to their secondary and all that good stuff, or the offensive line doing their thing. But I find it interesting and perhaps, and this is how weird football is. Because football is the one sport where it's a team game, but a lot of stuff depends on, well, let's just say, the quarterback. And I remember that Seattle a couple of years ago under the previous coach, and Pete Carroll. And I remember they had Geno Smith, and he was doing their thing. But, Geno is Geno. For those people that love football, Geno is a little bit erratic, So you needed somebody steady, because a lot of people felt, hey, listen, it's a good team. And it's crazy. They had one of the better wide receivers. You already know who it was. Number 4 over there playing in Pittsburgh. But the fact is this, that because of that, they felt like, listen, Smith over here, that's the go-to guy. We got a couple of good running backs. It's a little running back by committee. Hey, George Holani doing his thing. But the fact is that the quarterback, Sam Darnold, who from many places years ago, when he was drafted by the New York Jets, was a buzz. And my thing, because I'm a Notre Dame guy, and we played the USC, the University of Southern California, with Sam Darnold. And I'll be straight up. For some reason, there was a lot of hype, and rightfully so, with Sam Darnold. And there was a game against, Notre Dame years ago, Notre Dame, USC, and I always fell. Yeah, I think Sam Darnold threw like 3 or 4 answers, and I said to myself, I could understand something, but I just couldn't think that the hype was the hype. But for some reason, he still got drafted by the Jets up there, whatever the case might be. That didn't pan out. That was a buzz. I think, look, the Jets could have drafted anybody, and they'll screw you, and they'll go to another team and do their thing. Look, the Jets, I ain't going to make fun of the Jets anymore. But the fact that Sam Darnold goes to the Vikings and was productive, but still, it's that thing that lingered in the air, And for some reason, the Seattle Seahawks said, you know what? Why not? Give him a big contract. And at the end of the day, look at him. He's leading the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl champion. I personally, for some reason, not truly invested emotionally in this game. To be honest with you, not that much. Even though, hey, listen, I'm doing the little pool, so there's a lot of money, but still, that has nothing to do with the winners, for the most part, I would say. But the fact that Sam Darnold, that is an interesting story. And once again, in football, there's been a lot of, Trent Dilfer, we could go. That's Rich Gannon. When it comes to football, and we've seen this, we could have great quarterbacks in college and just stuck up to join the NFL. You could have mediocre quarterbacks. And let's just say Tom Brady. I'm not saying that Tom Brady was mediocre in college. He did his thing in Michigan. Hey, when you play for Michigan, it's a little different. Because a lot of people feel like when you play for a big school like that, Michigan, especially like a powerhouse running the ball, you might think that, hey, you're a product of the system instead of the other way around. But the fact is that Tom Brady was not flashy, but the rest is history. A person that was flashy, let's say Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Patrick had a, Texas Tech. But you get the gist. Sam Darnold was, amongst the line of, hey, listen, this person's going to be great, but he's struggling in college. But look, the rest is history. All I'm saying, Sam Darnold, that's an interesting story. I lean towards, I think that he's going to have a great Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. Very close. And it's against the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots, if we spoke about the New England Patriots 10 years ago, even 8 years ago, they were the team to beat, basically. But once Tom Brady left or he got traded or whatever, sadly, the trajectory changed. And this team is a different makeup, even though the coach, Mike Vrabel, who was a former Patriots coach, now is at the helm. And now he's leading the charge. And now the Patriots is where we at now. Now, the player that I was going to say, DK Metcalf. That was one of the best wide receivers. And, interesting, he went to, he got traded, and that's why he Smith. But going back to the Patriots, again, I'm as surprised and yet not. Because the thing with the Patriots, and I'll say this much, I mean, bringing Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the Patriots. I mean, he's one of those that was there with Tom Brady. So, there's a smell of winning, even though they had the coach, I believe was Jerry Maye, but I guess he didn't get along with players or something to that effect. I don't know what the story. They didn't last that long. Mike was in Tennessee, and Vrabel, it's one of those coaches, kind of nails, maybe not the best X and O type of coach, but he's back. He's doing his thing. But the fact that now this team is once again be going back to the quarterback, Drake Maye. Now, Drake Maye is interesting because once again, Drake Maye was not, and it's kind of funny because he's from the North Carolina University Tar Heels, and for some reason, North Carolina, even though they're not a football program per se, they more or less go to basketball. You already know they got a college basketball pedigree. But the fact that it's been in the last, I'm going to say like the last 10, 14 years, there's been a couple of good North Carolina college football QBs there. I mean, Mike Trubisky, I think, is one of them, and Drake Maye. And for some reason, these are individuals that got drafted high. And again, in college football, they in the ACC, so the competition is there. So if you are in, let's say, North Carolina, doing your thing, beating some of the bigger boys or whatever it is, listen, hey, they're gonna give you props. And then, how can I say? For some reason, they believe that Drake Maye, he put us in good numbers, and he was like, what, first round pick or something to that effect? Top 5, if not mistaken. And obviously, you already know that when certain quarterbacks, the pattern would be the quarterback from North Carolina, like Mike Trubisky or something to that effect. I mean, that didn't pan out. I think he's still playing football somewhere. But the fact that Drake Maye, it's one of those dudes that he's balling. He's balling, and they got a good team. Marcus Jones out there doing his thing. Got the defense, Christian Gonzalez. I mean, this team, the thing about this team is that it reminds me a little bit of, how can I say, that old school kind of grind it out, and they put in numbers. Hey, don't get it messed up. They put in numbers. And the fact that they brought some couple of players, already know Carlton Davis, they put some money on that defense. Because, you kind of want to build that little defense like Mike Vrabel, those old school football plays that just bang there, doing that thing. I'm like, yo, chill. You know what I mean? But the thing is that with this team, it's that, hey, listen, yes, they lost a couple of players here and there. But with the fact that they are able to plug in players and do this thing where, look, listen, that's a good team here. And running back from Andre Stevenson, I'm telling you, he's a beast. Henderson, he's a beast. Stephon Diggs, let's not forget. Stephon, he was in the Bills. It's funny. And I'm gonna say this. So years ago, Stephon Diggs was playing with Buffalo, and I always have wanted to root for Buffalo. And Stephon has some problems with the QB over there and Josh Allen. Sadly, you already know. You got beef with Josh Allen or you not with Josh Allen, whatever the case, you out of here. Stephon, people accuse him, he's a little, what they call diva, one of those wide receivers. But guess where he's at now, right? He ain't doing the things that, as he has been older and mature, he's zipped because now he's playing with a quarterback that's going to give him the ball. And now, because of the coach, if you don't get the ball, hey, don't say anything. Why you didn't get the ball? You already know. You didn't go wide open. They got some good, tight ends there. But the offense, once again, these two teams kind of in a bit similar, mirror to mirror, in a sense. They're, linebackers. I'm telling you. Jack Gibbons, all those linebackers there. Gavon Chasen. Let's get it. Their defense, both of these teams are just those old school kind of teams where, it's gonna be boom, 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 and somebody's gonna hit. So at the end, what it is, what's the difference? I think that is gonna be a close game. If it's not a close game, right? When somebody gets blown out, I think that I'm gonna say that for some reason the Seattle is more explosive offensively. But again, we could have the Patriots just running the ball, doing their thing, and hey, listen, cutting some time, making sure that they don't get the ball. So if I was to say it's going to be a close game, I still say Seattle's going to win. It might be those games where in the first half, they're going to fill out like two boxes there. It might be a little low scoring in the first half, but then in the second half, it's going to step up. You're going to see some acceleration. I'm looking at about like a 30-26 type of deal. And if it's a blowout, again, I think that Seattle might have the edge in that one because I think that they could just go boom, 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 boom. And the fact that I think that Seattle was playing a little bit more high octane because, in order to beat, let's say, San Francisco, who's in their division, and the Rams, hey, you got to put on points, especially with the Rams. You got to outplay these teams. I got to outplay. And I think that is going to be a close game. But once again, the Seattle Seahawks going to probably take one. The game's going to be on Peacock. Watch the game, 6:30. Halftime's going to be with Bad Bunny. I did a thing there with Bad Bunny. But listen to it. I think Green Day is going to be a special guest or something to that effect. It's going to be interesting. Watch the football. Football is watched by close to over 100 million here in the United States. I think 150 million worldwide. I could understand that those soccer aficionados who watch the FIFA, or they say, well, soccer is watched worldwide. Whatever. For those in the cricket, I think it was like cricket a couple of years ago. I think it was India, Bangladesh, which has watched supposedly like almost close to 1 billion people. I'm like, damn, everybody in India was watching it. You know what I mean? Everybody in Bangladesh was watching it too. Even the babies, they kind of babies out there. They kind of everybody supposedly watch. But the football and the NFL and the Super Bowl, that's us. That's an American thing here in this side of the country or this side of the world. So watch is going to be interesting. Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. For those people out there who put some money in, listen, I ain't going to, if you be like, oh, but David said that, Seattle and I put up 1,000 and nobody hit me up with like that nonsense. Like, but David, I was listening to your podcast. Yes, listen to my podcast, but I'm just saying, that's just me. I'm just saying. And the funny thing, and lastly, you already know, once again, you got to hit that like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And then the funny thing, right? There's a poster in the beginning of the year, and they're supposed to have these different players, and especially known players. And this poster, every year the NFL does this thing where all these players kind of locked in, looking at their sites in the Super Bowl. And some fans did notice that the poster, now when I said this poster was like already in the beginning of the season, if you look at the last two smaller player, because they're going to show the big names. I think Barkley was there, Jalen is there, Josh Allen is there. Some of the big names are the bigger pictures. But you see Drake Maye and you see Dan Darnold almost close to each other in these little picture. And some people might say, football and the NFL scripted. Oh my. Perhaps it's a coincidence. Let's make it happen. I'm out of here. It's your boy, D-constructing Topic Podcast. Have fun. Stay safe. Enjoy. Drink responsibility. And take the day of responsibility just as the next day many people work. We should push it as a holiday or maybe push the Super Bowl on a Saturday. You let me know Hit up that comment. Let me know what you think. I'm out of here. Peace.